In its comparatively short post-war career, the Dutch International Tulip Rally has established itself as one of the most popular and best-run events in the calendar. For one thing, it comes at such a pleasant time of year, and the friendly people of Holland do all they can to make their motoring guests feel welcome and at home. Countryside near Noordwijk, where the rally has its headquarters, the letters BHP might well stand for bulb horsepower. But the Dutch are very keen on motoring too, and the 7th Tulip Rally attracted an entry of 207 cars from 9 countries to compete in 4 categories, subdivided into no less than 14 capacity classes. In addition, for the first time, a complicated handicap system was introduced, and the basic recipe of the 1800-mile road section was also a departure from what had become the traditional pattern of the Tulip Rally. For from the start, all roads led comfortably towards Stuttgart. The autobahns of Germany make motoring easy, and after a night in which to shake down to the job in hand, experienced tulip drivers were inclined to mutter that the rally was no longer the furious dice it used to be. But the temptation to crack along the high-speed concrete is irresistible to most, and Bill Banks, who's come nearer to winning the Tulip than any man, is no exception. The Triumph TR2s were there, of course, in force, and the official works entry, here Jimmy Ray leads Bob Dixon and Ken Richardson, fell into line ahead, followed by Lola Grounds and Cherry Osborne out for the ladies' prize, and motoring editor Gregor Grant. But even despite the gentle prelude to the Tulip of '55, several cars ran into trouble before reaching the Stuttgart control, and the Triumph team had a narrow squeak when Ray and Waddington lost themselves on the outskirts of the city, but made it with seconds to spare. Competitors now relaxed for what was described as a day of rest. But compulsory participation in a tour of the city, including the motorworks, and a deal of official hospitality, made the visit to Stuttgart scarcely a rest cure. Early to bed would have seemed a good idea, for ahead lay the serious motoring of the trip, and it involved an early start. The famous Schloss Solitude was the starting control, and Ray Brooks was one of the early men away. Old friends and rivals were as usual met to do battle, and Sheila Van Dam, the European ladies champion, was out for further laurels, while other ideas on the matter were held by Nancy Mitchell. The Triumph TR2s in the 2-litre sports section had a handicap time of 18 minutes to be added to their total times for the eliminating tests. These handicaps were awarded to individual models on the standard of performance expected by the organizers. The aim was, of course, to give every competitor an equal chance of outright victory. Although in the same class, John Gott's AC Ace, on the other hand, had 17 minutes handicap. Modified Ford Zephyrs were given 17 minutes, Standard Zephyrs 13, the Standard Sunbeams 14, and so on. But evidently this Dutch crew were happy to carry the additional handicap of national costume as well. Here, the handicap times were no longer of any significance. The task involved was merely to reach the next control within the specified time. The average speeds varied according to category, but involved hard work for all concerned. Dathan's A40 was by no means the only car to run into trouble on this section, and the proverb about crossing one's bridges became relevant early on. Melder and Montesquieu, who set off from Noordwijk with the Saab, and although this Dutch pair looked steady at this point with the Morris Minor, their teammates following very nearly did it again. Greta Molander, the Swedish lady veteran, was in a hurry. The Saabs, by the way, carried only 5 minutes handicap. Near misses worked out at about 1 per competitor per mile, but the Opel record of Versloot and Tegela did the thing in style. Miraculously, neither man was hurt in this frightening crash. In all, 18 crews lost marks on this section alone, and 5 or 6 retired. There was further trouble in the mountains of the Vosges, and at night came the second hill climb of the Col du Pin. To sneak a few seconds from the more potent motors of the opposition. However, the risks involved must equally be weighed. A hair's breadth of over-enthusiasm could mean complete disaster. The brakes have a very severe pounding still to come, and the finish in Holland is still more than 600 miles away. Nevertheless, Jimmy Ray was but fractionally slower than Tack in the 300 SL Mercedes. Now the tide had turned against Lola Grounds and Cherry Osborne, and further misfortune still awaited them. Grant Norton's ace was not as fast as Gott's. At last, the great hotel, the Histedine at Noordwijk by the sea. As the surviving cars were locked away overnight in the Parc Fermé, no less than 119 were clear of penalty marks, and the results of the Tulip of 1955 were by no means a foregone conclusion. Now came the final test at the Zandvoort Grand Prix circuit nearby. Although time was still the deciding factor, as in all the previous eliminating tests, this was in fact mass start motor racing over 10 laps in handicapped groups. Here's the quick 2-liter brigade, the 16 to 18 minute boys in action. At the end of lap 1, it's Ken Richardson's TR2, Cuff Harrison showing his mastery, John Gott third, and Slottermarker fourth. Richardson still in the lead. Slottermarker has moved up to second, and Gott has also passed Cuff Harrison. Now Harrison repasses Gott, who knows he's got to stay within striking distance of Richardson in the lead to win the class. Again, the AC forces past the Ford, and the crowd adore it. Now the two leading TR2s come to grips, and with a lap and a half to go, the Dutchman takes the lead. Slottermarker, Ken Richardson second, Gott third, Harrison. And so they finish. Gott winning the class from Richardson and Harrison winning the 3.5 litre modified touring award. The Category E event brought equally crucial racing. Peter Harper had to lick Engel's Mercedes 220 to win the class on an equal handicap. Sheila Van Dam was behind Nancy Mitchell and Greta Melander, but determined to do her best. Mrs. Mitchell knew she had little hope of retaining her lead on the Scandinavian lady, but pressed on regardless. However, some were a bit too regardless. Ah well, he won't do that again. Engels wins, Harper is second, and Sheila Van Dam and George Hartwell fight it to the line. Race followed race in slick succession, but Martin's TV Fiat in the lead in the general classification is missing from the picture. With only Zandvoort between him and certain victory, the clutch disintegrated and the Belgian joined the spectators in the stands. But that's the way it goes in motoring. Without an element of luck, the odds are piled up high against the individual. Now comes the race of the day, with Gatsonides Standard 10 shooting into the lead. Gatso was out for the class, and Greta Melander, number 209, makes her bid for the ladies' prize. With her handicap advantage, Greta could scarcely fail to beat off the British girls who had already done the test. But the Saab and the Little Standard make a real race of it. Now Miss Molander takes the lead with Gatso second and Melder third and falling back. The hairpin and 1 lap to go. And Greta beats Gatso to the line by that much. The crowd have surely had their money's worth. And so, to the victor, the true reward. The Standard 10 of Gatsonides and St. John Foster, standard in every sense, had won its class. The Triumph TR2 of Richardson and Heathcote was second in its class, and Gregor Grant won the Motor Holland Trophy. A good event, well run, and much enjoyed. The Tulip Rally of 1955.